If you've ever driven through the Alps and wondered how the timber industry survives in a landscape this steep, Salzburg is where you get your answer. This Austrian region has been cutting, hauling, and shaping wood for centuries, and today it's home to some of the most efficient small to mid-sized sawmills in Europe. Most of these operations aren't massive industrial complexes. They're family-run businesses, often 3 or 4 generations deep, tucked into valleys where spruce and fir grow thick on the mountainsides. What makes the Salzburg model interesting is the balance between tradition and technology. Logging crews still work steep slopes that would make an American logger's jaw drop, using cable yarding systems to bring timber down from terrain too steep for any wheeled skidder. Once the logs reach the yard, they're sorted by species, diameter, and quality, then fed into sawlines that range from simple single-blade rigs to fully automated Austrian and Italian-built systems capable of processing a log every few seconds. Central European sawmills tend to specialize in high-value structural lumber, glulam beams, and cross-laminated timber, feeding a construction industry that leans heavily on wood framing even for mid-rise buildings. Nothing goes to waste here either. Bark becomes mulch or biomass fuel, sawdust gets pressed into pellets, and offcuts feed on-site drying kilns and heating systems. Labor here is skilled and specialized. It's a job that takes years to master, and in a region where forestry has been the backbone of the economy since the days of the salt trade, that expertise gets passed down like a family trade secret. Let's zoom in on one specific operation, the Asson sawmill, a facility that's built its reputation on turning raw spruce and fir logs into clean, high-grade sawn lumber at a scale most backyard woodworkers can't even picture. Asson works primarily with softwood species harvested from managed alpine and lowland forests, focusing on logs in the mid to large diameter range that give the best yield for construction-grade boards and beams. What sets this mill apart is the sawline itself, a complete system engineered by Primultini, the Italian manufacturer that's been building sawmill technology since 1923. This isn't a single machine, it's an entire integrated production line, and every station is built to keep logs moving without a bottleneck. It starts with automated log-in feed, where a mechanized loading deck picks off the yard and feeds them one at a time onto the line, already sorted by diameter, so the saw settings barely need adjusting between passes. From there, logs pass through a debarking station that strips the bark clean using a Nicholson-style ring debarker. Spinning rotor arms shave away bark without gouging the usable wood underneath. That bark isn't wasted. It gets collected and repurposed as fuel or landscaping mulch. The debarked log then moves onto the heart of the system, a Primultini tandem log bandsaw. Picture 2 massive vertical band blades, each one over 1,000 millimeters in flywheel diameter, mounted in sequence so the log gets cut twice in a single pass down the line. This double-cut configuration is what lets Asson push serious volume through the mill without sacrificing precision, since a single band cut can leave you waiting on a return stroke. But a tandem setup keeps material flowing in one direction constantly. The log rides through on a hydraulic carriage fitted with heavy-duty clamps that grip the trunk from multiple points, holding it dead steady while hydraulic log turners rotate it between cuts. This is the step that determines the final grade of lumber. A skilled operator or an automated scanning system reads the log's shape, knots, and taper, then decides exactly how to rotate and position it so the saw opens up the cleanest faces first. After the initial slabs come off, the squared cant continues down the line to an automatic edger, which trims the rough outer edges off each board and squares them up to standard widths in one continuous pass. By the time lumber reaches the end of the line, it's already sorted, stacked, and ready for the drying kilns. What used to take a mill crew of a dozen men working long shifts, Primultini's automated system now handles with a fraction of the manpower, which is exactly why sawmills across Europe have leaned so heavily into this kind of turnkey engineering over the last few decades. Not every sawmill needs a massive tandem bandsaw line to run efficiently, and that's exactly the point behind the setup engineered by Erwin Schroffenegger and Thomas Resch, two names well known in the Alpine sawmill equipment world for building lean, high-output solutions for mid-sized operations. Their answer to high-volume sawing without the footprint or price tag of a full industrial line is a twin-bandsaw configuration, two vertical bandsaws working in tandem, but arranged and controlled in a way that gives smaller mills the kind of throughput normally reserved for the big players. Here's how the system works. Instead of one enormous saw carriage doing all the work, the log travels down a shared track and passes through two separate bandsaw stations positioned one after the other. The first saw makes the initial breakdown cut, opening up the log and removing the first slab to expose a flat reference face. The log, still riding on the same hydraulic carriage, immediately continues into the second saw station without needing to be repositioned or reloaded. That second blade then takes the next parallel cut, meaning two cutting operations happen in the time it would normally take for a single sawmill to complete one pass and reset. The real engineering challenge in a setup like this is synchronization. Both blades have to be perfectly aligned, running at matched tension and speed, or you end up with inconsistent board thickness and wasted material. Schroffenegger and Resch built their control systems around precise hydraulic feed regulation, so the carriage speed stays constant through both cutting zones, and electronic monitoring keeps blade tracking dialed in, even as blade tension shifts with temperature and wear over a long shift. For the mill owner, the appeal is straightforward math. You get close to double the cutting capacity of a single saw line, but you're not paying for the size, power draw, or footprint of a full tandem bandsaw plant like the big Italian-built systems. It's a smart middle ground solution, and it's become a popular retrofit option for mills that started with a single blade setup decades ago and needed to scale production without tearing out and rebuilding the entire yard. Operators running this twin saw configuration report being able to keep up with orders that used to require running the mill in double shifts, all while using roughly the same crew size they had before the upgrade. It's a good reminder that in the sawmill business, smart engineering often beats brute force scale, and sometimes the cleverest solution is simply doubling up on something that already works well. Next stop on our tour through Central Europe's sawmill country is Lacquer, another family-operated mill that's built its name on precision cutting of Alpine spruce and fir. Like most operations in this region, Lacquer draws its raw material from local, sustainably managed forests, favoring straight-grained softwood logs in the mid-diameter range, the kind of timber that turns into strong, stable structural lumber and premium board stock once it's been through the mill. The Lacquer sawline follows a layout that's become something of a regional standard, but the details of how it's tuned and operated are what separate an average mill from a great one. Logs arrive at the yard and get sorted first, graded by diameter, length, and visible quality, since mixing wildly different log sizes on the same cutting settings kills efficiency fast. From the sorted deck, logs are fed one by one onto a mechanized in-feed table that carries them into the debarking station, where a ring-style debarker strips away bark using spring-loaded cutting heads that follow the natural contour of each log, even when the trunk isn't perfectly round. Once debarked, the log meets the heart of the operation, a heavy-duty vertical bandsaw mounted on a precision hydraulic carriage. This is where operator skill really shows. The carriage grips the log firmly with multiple hydraulic clamps, and a set of powered log turners rotate the trunk between passes, so the sawyer can open up the cleanest, straightest faces first. Every rotation is a judgment call, reading where the knots are, where the log tapers, and how to position it so the most valuable clear lumber comes off first, before the saw works its way down into lower grade boards near the core. After After the initial slabbing cuts, the squared cant runs through an edger that trims rough, bark-covered edges and standardizes each board to a consistent width. From there, boards move onto a trimming saw that squares up the ends and cuts everything to standard lengths. The finished lumber is then sorted by grade and dimension onto stacking carts, ready to head into the kiln for drying. Lacquer, like many mills its size, runs a lean crew, often just a handful of skilled operators managing what used to require a much larger team, thanks to how much of the material handling between stations has been mechanized over the years. It's a clean, efficient operation that shows how a mid-sized regional sawmill can compete on quality and consistency without needing the scale of an industrial megaplant. Now, let's head back stateside, because not every great sawmill story is happening in the Alps. Out in Douglas Fir Country, Clary Lumber Products LLC runs a mill that's a masterclass in old-school American ingenuity, the kind of operation built by people who'd rather engineer their own solution in the shop than wait around for a catalog machine that might not even fit their needs. This mill specializes in Douglas fir, one of the most valuable and widely used softwood species in North American construction, prized for its strength-to-weight ratio and its long, straight grain. What Clary runs isn't a slick, fully automated European-style line. It's what's known in the trade as a Scragg mill, a rougher, faster style of head rig designed to break big logs down into rough boards quickly, before anything gets refined. And the whole process kicks off the moment logs hit the yard. When a Husky Brute wheeled loader, one of those old, heavy-duty log loaders built like a tank, picks up logs from the deck and feeds them onto the mill's in-feed system. These machines have been workhorses in American sawmills for decades, tough enough to handle massive Douglas fir logs all day without complaint. From there, logs move into the cutting stage, where Clary uses custom-built, in-house fabricated equipment rather than off-the-shelf machinery. First comes a cutoff station that bucks the logs down to mill-ready lengths, followed by a debarking pass that strips the rough bark off before the log ever touches a saw blade, keeping the blades sharper for longer and the finished lumber cleaner. Then comes the Scragg saw itself, a rugged multi-blade rig that takes a full log and rips it down into rough, thick boards in a single pass. Unlike a precision bandsaw line that carefully rotates and repositions each log for maximum clear face yield, a Scragg mill trades a bit of finesse for raw speed. It's built to chew through high volumes of mid-grade Douglas fir fast, producing rough-cut lumber that gets refined further down the line. Once the rough boards come off the Scragg saw, they head to the edging station, where Clary runs a Salem 6x60 edger, a heavy-duty American-built machine known in the industry for handling wide rough-sawn boards and trimming them down to clean, standardized widths. The Salem edger uses multiple saw blades mounted on an adjustable arbor, so the operator can dial in exactly how wide the finished board needs to be, cutting away the rough, bark-covered edges left over from the initial Scragg cut. This step is where a rough slab starts looking like real lumber. Straight edges, consistent width, ready for grading. From the edger, things get refreshingly low-tech for a minute. The boards are physically pulled and manually stacked onto what's called a green chain, a moving conveyor system where a crew of workers grabs each board as it comes down the line and sorts it by grade, length, and quality in real time. This is one of the last places in modern lumber manufacturing where you still see this much hands-on human judgment built directly into the production line. Green chain work is physically demanding and requires a sharp eye. Workers have to make split-second calls on grade while boards keep coming. And a good green chain crew can move an astonishing amount of lumber in a shift. Once sorted, the boards move on toward the planer, where they'll get surfaced and squared to their final dimensions before heading out for sale or further processing. What makes Clary's operation so compelling isn't cutting-edge robotics. It's the opposite. A mill that's kept a rugged, hands-on, American workhorse approach alive, blending home-built machinery with proven industrial equipment like the Salem Edger to turn out serious volumes of Douglas fir lumber the old-fashioned way. With skilled hands still very much part of the process from the log deck all the way to the green chain. There's something worth appreciating here for anyone who grew up around this kind of work, or whose father or grandfather did. Mills like Clary represent a style of American manufacturing that never fully disappeared, even as the big industrial players automated everything with scanners, lasers, and robotic sorting systems. A Scragg mill running Douglas fir with a Husky Brute loader and a Salem Edger isn't cutting edge by today's standards, but it's proven, it's rugged, and it's paid for. That matters a lot in an industry where log prices swing and lumber markets can turn on a dime. We're wrapping up this tour of world-class sawmills back in northern Germany at a family operation called Holz-Ruser, based in the small town of Bornhoved in Schleswig-Holstein. This mill has a story that reads like the blueprint for a successful multi-generation family business. Founded back in 1972 by Klaus Ruser, and today run by his three sons, Henning, Sunke, and Arne, who took the operation their father built from the ground up and turned it into one of the region's most efficient, full-range timber suppliers. Holz-Ruser processes a serious volume of softwood, somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 to 550 cubic meters of logs every single day, which adds up to well over 100,000 cubic meters a year. That kind of throughput requires a sawline built for consistency at high speed. And the mill's process starts the same way most modern European operations do. Logs arrive by truck, get sorted by species and diameter, and are staged in the yard before being fed onto the mechanized infeed system. From there, logs pass through debarking, where rotating cutter heads strip away bark cleanly before the trunk ever touches a saw blade, both to protect blade life and to keep the mill's byproduct streams clean for resale. The debarked logs then move into the primary breakdown stage, where a high-speed bandsaw or gang saw system, depending on log diameter, opens the log up into cants and slabs. Larger diameter logs typically get individual attention on a carriage-fed bandsaw, so an operator can maximize clear lumber yield, while smaller, more uniform diameter logs run through faster, less labor-intensive gang saw setups that cut multiple boards from a single pass. What makes Holz-Ruser stand out in the German market is how much further they take the wood after the initial cut. Rather than just selling rough-sawn lumber, the mill runs its own finger jointing and laminating lines to produce KVH, which stands for Konstruktionsvollholz, a squared, kiln-dried structural timber product that's become the backbone of German timber frame construction. Making KVH means taking dried, graded boards, cutting out any defects, then finger jointing shorter, clear sections end to end to create long, defect-free structural beams, sometimes stretching 14 meters or more, far longer than any single log could naturally provide. None of this works without serious drying capacity, and Holz-Ruser runs a bank of large kilns to bring green lumber down to the precise moisture content required for structural-grade timber. The mill has continued investing in upgrading that drying infrastructure over the years. boosting capacity while cutting energy use. A reflection of how much modern sawmilling has become as much about thermal engineering and moisture control as it is about the saw blade itself. By the time lumber leaves Holzreuser, it's been sorted, cut, dried, and in many cases finger jointed into finished structural product, ready to ship straight to timber frame builders, carpenters, and construction firms across the region. It's a great example of how the modern sawmill has evolved well past just cutting logs, becoming a full manufacturing operation that adds real engineering value at every single stage of the process, all while still being run day to day by the same family that started it with nothing more than a saw and a lot of determination back in 1972.